President Trump is defending his response to the Los Angeles protests, calling the demonstrators, quote, insurrectionists. He made those comments on Truth Social last night, saying Governor Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass should apologize for the, quote, horrible job they have done.
Are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it. And when they spit at people, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. It has started. The violence instigated by the Trump regime that we have been predicting since early 2024 is here. You're seeing the opening salvo from the regime on the streets of LA. But make no mistake, this is their plan. The way Donald Trump and his henchmen stay in power is by provoking conflict, escalating it, and then responding in extreme ways. Donald Trump wants martial law. He wants the power that it gives him. So it's not accurate to describe this as a reactionary moment. The Trump regime is not reacting to the outrage of Americans. It is provoking it by design. We're going to be following every aspect of this, especially when it comes to the use of the national security state, the military, the police, the intelligence apparatus. I wish this episode wasn't so perfectly timed, but as promised, here is part 2 of my conversation with Ruth Ben-Ghiat, America's foremost historian when it comes to studying the rise of autocracy and the loss of democracy. Her insights about the role of oligarchs and corruption in all this could not be more timely. We also talk about how to make sure that those committing crimes and using the government to do it know that accountability will one day come. Ruth refers to this as the reckoning, and it may be one of our most powerful deterrents in this moment of danger. I'll let our conversation speak for itself. Here's me and Ruth Ben-Ghiat. At various points, I have felt that we are uniquely susceptible to this kind of oligarchic takeover because we don't have the same aversion to billionaires that other countries with a history of monarchy or autocracy do. In fact, we often put our billionaires on a pedestal because we all think someday we could be one, right? That is a uniquely American ambition. And I'm wondering if it exposes us to anti-democratic risks that the countries you study don't suffer.
It does. And actually, this period, I see it. I have a Substack called Lucid. And about 3 weeks after this all started, this nightmare, I wrote a piece called Out of Corruption and Chaos, a Reckoning Will Come. And I'm still using this word reckoning because I believe this whole experience will be a wake-up call for Americans who have, been in a state that's tolerated dark money in politics, billionaires, and other people linked to billionaires who represent billionaires, such as Leonard Leo, trying their very best, often with excess, to manipulate our politics and effectively disenfranchise voters. And we also have all these elitist structures, such as the Electoral College. And so when I look at the Electoral College with the eyes of somebody who studies autocrats, I see not only elitism, but political danger. Anytime you invest just a few people with a huge task of being able to decide in a way who becomes president, those people are very vulnerable to manipulation, to corruption, to being bought off, to being intimidated. So there's structural things about American politics that indeed, as you said, do not exist in other countries. And I'm hoping that at least what can come out of this just very blatant corruption and attempt to make us an autocracy is a better system and more civic education to support that system.
I hope you're right. But a lot of the structures you describe, while they may be anti-democratic, and they may be dangerous, are not illegal, right? So it requires a wholesale reimagining of our democratic system. But I feel like we're reaching a point now where the ambitions and the brazenness of the oligarchs we're talking about is venturing into illegality. I'm thinking about Musk's $1 million bribe, right, to get people to register to vote. Surely, as we investigate some of the deals going on between Trump and his billionaire friends, will uncover illegalities. Political question for you. How do you think about post-Trump accountability? Is there anything we can do now to raise or set the expectation that what you're doing, even though it may be profitable in the moment, there will be this reckoning you speak of? And I just think Democrats need to begin running on an accountability platform to stop some of the most egregious excesses now, and to send the message that just because the alpha in the White House tells you to do this does not mean someday you won't pay a price for it.
I agree with you that Democrats need to run on accountability and transparency and decency and justice. These are and equity, equality, right? And above all, they need to get the message out that the privilege of holding public office is about serving the people, not about what autocrats see. Now, autocrats have a totally different mindset, and it's been unpleasant but necessary to, kind of immerse myself in their heads, so to speak, be in their heads. They see public office as a chance to privately enrich themselves and amass power so that they can not be touched, that they become above the law. And so Orban, for example, the prime minister of Hungary, he's the muse of the GOP. He's supposed to be so great. Do you know that he has impoverished Hungary, and he has grown so spectacularly wealthy, he and his family and his cronies, that a French documentary film was just made and released about this. So this is the operation of corruption. You inhabit public office to enrich yourself and your cronies, and you have like an inner sanctum of corrupt people, and you purposely appoint people who are either incompetent so you can control them, have no experience, or who are already corrupt. Pete Hegseth, we hear about some of his other not stellar qualities, but also when he was running veterans organizations, he was accused of financial irregularities.
I'm well aware.
Or you appoint people to prestigious positions, such as the ambassador to France, who comes with a spectacular residence in Paris, Charles Kushner, who is a convicted felon. But all of this is capped by President Trump actually having framed in a gold frame in the Oval Office his mugshot. And I imagine, thinking about autocrats, every time President Trump looks at that mugshot on his wall in the Oval Office, he sees, I've beat the system. I'm a convicted felon, but I was a victim, and here I am. And others who come into the Oval Office, world leaders, other people who are very important, see that framed and understand what the values of this administration really are.
Hey, it's Ken Harbaugh. Huge shout out to everyone who has supported this show via our Patreon page. If you want to weigh in with questions for upcoming guests, or give us feedback on past guests, or make sure you never miss an episode, click the link below. It's free to sign up. And if you're able to pitch in a few bucks a month, just know that we put every dollar back into the show. We do have another reporting trip to Ukraine coming up. Thanks for the help. Last question, and I hope your answer is hopeful. I'm rolling the dice here, but with the strong men you study and with the people around them, is there ever a deterrent effect when you create this expectation of accountability? Maybe not for the guy at the very top, but you've been reposting these pictures of these ICE raids, and I want to believe that some of the functionaries in Trump world think to themselves late at night, is what I'm doing right? Is it legal? And will I be held accountable? It seems like that might be one of our last safeguards, is the conscience of the people, or the fear of the people breaking the law and violating their oaths.
I'm not sure that is going to be operative right now, because we're only 3 months in. It's very, very early. When we think about these other autocrats we talk about, they've been there, like Orban has been in power as long as Hitler. 15 years. Putin has been in power as long as Mussolini, actually almost longer now, 25 years. So these corrupt regimes have evolved over time. And so we're very early. And right now it's like this explosion of entitlement to be as corrupt as you want. And so you see.
And cruel.
And cruel. And so the ICE, these bands of mass people, by the way, this is what they do in authoritarian states. In Turkey, all the time, you have these, guys who are, I don't know if they're masked or not, but they're all dressed in black. They're like a gang of guys. You're walking down the street. If you're, any kind of dissident or you follow the wrong faith leader, and you're walking down the street in Turkey or abroad, because they go after you if you're abroad. And a gang of guys comes and stuffs you into a black van, and that's the end of you. You're in prison, and sometimes you're tortured. I wrote about this in Strongmen, and it's unbelievable to see it happening here. So there's a culture of entitlement to be cruel and violent and corrupt right now. But you see already Americans in those neighborhoods, when they see these vans coming, they start coming out and they start trying to stop this. And that is the power of social media, which is circulating these images, leaving other Americans, thinking, well, I can do that too. Now, you asked me about the officials of ICE, maybe sometimes the not the head, but the secondary or tertiary, officials of ICE. I don't think that right now they're thinking about their conscience. They're thinking about the success that they're having and how to please President Trump.
Right.
But over time, as this brings more and more negative reaction, and also now we're doing something different. We're sending people off to a gulag in El Salvador. And so I believe that over time, there's going to be a kind of awakening, and this awakening won't be only political, but moral as well.
Well, I sure hope so. I sure hope you're right, because when I see those communities swarm, the vans that are literally dragging people from their homes and peeling babies away from their moms, that's one of the few things that still gives me hope. I know 77 million people voted for Trump, but I have to believe a lot of them didn't vote for this. So fingers crossed. We'd love to have you back. Thank you so much, Ruth.
Thank you.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more, all at store.MeidasTouch.com.